radio studios of WDBO in sunny Orlando, Florida, here's talk radio host Joe Kelley's Behind the News podcast, where Joe and his listeners and guests discuss the most important issues of the day, plus the crazy and bizarre stories of the infamous Florida man. Here's Joe Kelley.
Right as we come on the air tonight, we are following breaking news. You're going to want to know about this, certainly if you are a supporter of Donald Trump. President Trump has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida asserting his Fourth Amendment rights regarding the unnecessary, these are in his words, the unnecessary, unwarranted, and un-American break-in by the FBI of his Mar-a-Lago estate. Now, I pulled his comment from Truth Social, from his social media platform, Truth Social. And I want to share with you former President Trump's statement just a short time ago. And it reads, "We have just filed a motion, the U.S. District Court in the Southern District of Florida, strongly asserting my rights, including under the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution regarding the unnecessary, unwarranted, and un-American break-in by dozens of FBI agents and others of my home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida." It continues, "They demanded that the security cameras be turned off, a request we rightfully denied. They prevented my attorneys from observing what was being taken in the raid, saying, quote, absolutely not. They took documents covered by attorney-client and executive privilege, which is not allowed. They took my passports. They even brought a safecracker, which is in quotation marks, a safecracker, and successfully broke into my personal safe, which revealed ... nothing, exclamation point. I like that he put safecracker in quotation marks as if it's not a real safecracker, and yet he managed to get into the president's safe. He did get into the president's safe, which is interesting, and kind of the Al Capone thing. Nothing was in the safe. Anyhow, let me continue reading this. It goes on. We are demanding that the Department of, quote, justice. So justice is in quotes. We are demanding that the Department of Justice be instructed to immediately stop, all caps, the review of documents illegally seized from my home. All documents have been previously declassified. We are demanding the appointment of a special master, in all caps, to oversee the handling of materials taken in the raid. We are further demanding that the DOJ be forced to turn over a real, without, quote, plants, inventory of my property that was taken and disclose where the property is now located. I wonder what he means by that when he says we're demanding that the DOJ be forced to turn over a real inventory of my property that was taken without plants. And I don't know what he means by without plants. Does he mean planting microphone bugs? Does he mean... I don't know what that means when he puts it in quotation marks. So he says, again, we are further demanding that the DOJ be forced to turn over a real, without plants, inventory of my property that was taken and disclose where that property is now located. We are demanding that all items wrongfully taken from my home be immediately returned. The wrongful, overbroad warrant was signed by a magistrate judge who recused himself just 2 months ago from a major civil suit that I filed because of his bias and animus towards me. This Mar-a-Lago break-in, search, and seizure was illegal and unconstitutional, and we're taking all actions necessary to get the documents back, which we would have given to them without the necessity of the despicable raid of my home, so that I can give them to the National Archives until they're required for the future Donald J. Trump Presidential Library and Museum. I will never stop fighting for the American people, our country, and the rule of law. Make America great again, Donald J. Trump. That is the entire statement from Donald Trump tonight as he announces that he has filed a motion asserting his Fourth Amendment rights regarding the unnecessary, unwarranted, and un-American break-in, as he calls it, of his estate at Mar-a-Lago. You can join me now at 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326. Hit me up in the open mic and the WDBO app with your thoughts on the president's statement and filing. You can join us now at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Use the open mic in the WDBO WDBO app. Your take on the president's court filing tonight. Let's start off with Michael in Orlando. You're on WDBO. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Joe, hey, good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for taking my phone call.
Of course.
There's one thing that you need to know. Any law enforcement agency that shows up at your residence with a search warrant and removes property has to do an inventory, fill it on paper. You have to sign it, everything they took, and the officer in charge of the search has to sign it. This is what they've taken from you, and you have to agree that this is what they've done. His lawyers did not have a chance to tell the FBI, look, we want a complete inventory, which that means a search and seizure could be illegal.
Now, just to be clear, are you a lawyer, Michael, or is this just based upon your understanding?
No. I'm a paralegal.
Okay.
So I'm letting you know that if the sheriff's department shows up at you and your wife's house, knocks on your door, takes anything out of your house, they have to give you either a receipt for it or an inventory of what they've taken.
Right, but my understanding is that was not done during the Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is illegal. They are supposed to provide his lawyers with an inventory of everything, the documents, everything that they've taken.
I mean, conceivably, and particularly without those cameras being on, and thankfully the Trump team kept their cameras on, but conceivably it would be impossible for the Trump team to know exactly what and what wasn't taken. I mean, just as an example,
okay.
I mean, just even at my house, and I'm not keeping any kind of presidential records or anything illicit at my house, maybe perhaps just like Trump wasn't at his house, but if sheriff's deputies were to come into my house and take out boxes of things, I would be very...
Okay.
Hang on, let me finish my thought. Wait a second. Let me finish my thought. If they were to take boxes of material out of my house, I would be hard pressed to know what's missing. I don't know in the top of my head all of the inventory that is in my house, and I would imagine President Trump similarly doesn't know everything he has in his house.
That's what the plant statement was about.
Okay, so he is suggesting that by putting things back, they could plant things. Is that your take on that?
No, what he's stating is they took material out of his house, documents that he did not inventory and give his lawyers an inventory for, so they could put anything in those boxes. And
I see what you're saying.
Well, look
I
what
see.
we found.
I see. That's interesting. Very interesting. You have cleared that up for me, Michael. Thank you very much. I think that sounds about right. That makes sense in the context under which how you describe that. Thank you. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. All right, so I just saw on Twitter that there is a new place in Altamont Springs that's going to open up called K-Pot. K-Pot, the letter K, P-O-T. So my question for you, Laurel and Ronald, what do you think they sell at K-Pot? I'll start with you, Laurel.
I think it's a hot pot place, like a restaurant hot pot.
Interesting. And Ronald?
Sounds like a coffee joint.
Coffee joint.
Yeah.
Interesting. How did neither of you think it was a marijuana dispensary?
It seems a little on the nose.
I kind of thought about the pot of coffee pot.
Oh, well, I got the coffee pot part,
Yeah.
and Laurel, I got your part, and Laurel, you're right, actually, and because I saw it on the Orlando Food Blogger, K-Pot is coming to Altamont Springs off 436. It's going in the place of an old Sweet Tomatoes. Remember Sweet Tomatoes, the salad buffet restaurant? They all closed when the pandemic hit because nobody wanted a buffet. You couldn't go to a buffet anymore, and getting a salad buffet, I don't know that you can get one anywhere anymore. I mean, can you think of any place where you can get a buffet, a salad buffet?
No.
Lots of those places closed.
Do they have Chinese buffets still? Can you go to a Chinese buffet, or do they close too? I haven't been to a Chinese buffet in a decade.
Nor I.
I used to love Chinese buffets, but it's been a while. And then while I got both of you, I have to not apologize to Ronald. I have to acknowledge that Ronald was right about something. And
Go ahead, please. I'm enjoying this. Let me record it. Hold on. Let me record this.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Friday, I don't know if it was even Friday, but it was last week. I said there's no way in hell that I'm going to watch She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And Ronald came to me privately and said, what? What did you say to me, Ronald?
I told you I had the same plans as you as not watching it, but a friend of mine whom judgments I really trust told me it was good, so I gave it a chance. I saw it, and it was actually good. It was funny. It's a raunchy comedy. It's not what I expected.
I got to tell you, I was pleasantly I was not going to watch it, but because I trust you, Ronald, I trust you, Ronald. That's how much you mean to me, man.
Thank you.
When Ronald said, Joe, you probably should watch this, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. And damn it, I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Did you stay till after the credits and watch the post-credit scene?
The post-credit scene, honestly, I enjoyed the whole show, but the post-credit scene was the best part of the entire show.
Yep, that's what everyone says.
So make sure you, if you're going to watch it, you got to stay through the post-credit scene. And now I feel like I want to go back and watch because at this moment I'm forgetting what the post-credit scene was. But I just remember it was the best part of the show.
Laurel must know.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're sitting at the bar, and they're talking about Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Stop.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I'm not ruining anything else.
That was so funny. And honestly, when She-Hulk is having that discussion in the car with Bruce Banner, I'm like, oh, man, I know where this is going.
Oh, me too.
I know exactly where this is
But
going.
Disney's smart because they kind of like covered up with the sound.
Yeah,
So like little kids wouldn't have paid attention, but us adults were like, oh.
Right. Yeah. There's so there is a raunchy part, if you will, but there's no way the little kids would have figured that out in watching that. Now, is it woke like Disney is these days? Yes. I mean, there are woke parts of it. Are there parts of it that don't make sense? For example, how is it that every time Bruce Banner hulks out, he loses his shirt, but when she hulks out, she doesn't lose hers? We don't see big Hulk breasts or anything like that. That is not part of this show. And she has a different form of Hulkism, than Bruce Banner does. And that's all I'm going to say. But I will say it was a fun show. And when does it come out? Tuesdays?
Oh, I thought Thursdays.
Is it Thursdays? Yeah, that makes sense because I think we talked about it on Friday, didn't we, Ronald?
Yeah, we did.
So I'm actually looking forward to Thursday's episode now. I'm tentatively on board for it. If this week's episode isn't at least as good as the first episode, then this will be a short live for me. And all that having been said, because I mentioned I put on Facebook, on my Facebook page, I guess after I saw it Friday, and I if anybody saw it, I wrote damn it like 100 times. I liked She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and I didn't want to like it. I didn't want to get sucked into that show.
I was right there too, yeah.
And I was so upset that I liked it, but I did like it, and so now I'm going to have to watch it, and that is disappointing that I'm going to have to watch a new series now because I was really hoping I wouldn't like it. But the CGI is kind of bad, but the writing is good. But otherwise, I mean, it was a good show, right?
It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
Entertaining? Okay. Yeah. All right. We're I don't know if you're just tuning in, but Donald Trump says that he's filed a lawsuit now over the search and seizure, if you will, of his items at Mar-a-Lago. And I think we have, and you guys do a lot better job of thinking like Donald Trump than I do, because I didn't quite get what he meant by we are further demanding that the DOJ be forced to turn over a real, all caps, a real without plants, quote, plants inventory of my property that was taken and disclose where that property is now located. And I did have not only our caller, but a couple of open mics.
So he believes that they may have planted something in his files or paperwork that could potentially be damaging.
Yeah, I get that now. And I get that in the context, and that makes sense. That totally makes sense there. So thank you so much for that. You can hit me up in the open mic, which is in the WDBO app. You can also call 844-580-WDBO. I saw this story about a Canadian Armed Forces veteran who was suffering from PTSD. He went to Canada's version of the VA, and y'all are not. If you think the VA in America is bad at times or is bad, wait till you hear what the Canadian VA told a veteran with PTSD This is going to blow your mind, and I'll have it for you coming up after the news. I'm Joe Kelley. You can join me at 844-580-WDBO. I'm Joe Kelley. Thank you so much for joining me tonight at 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic and the free WDBO app. Tomorrow night at this time, we're going to have a special edition of Orlando's News and Talk as we get ready for the election results tomorrow night around this time. The polls will close tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We will cover the local races from 7 to 8 and then the statewide races after 8 because, of course, in the Panhandle, it's in the Central Time Zone, which means that the statewide races don't close in Florida until 8 p.m., even though the polls here close at 7 p.m. By the way, breaking news out of California. This might be another sign that Gavin Newsom is preparing for a presidential run. But Governor Gavin Newsom of California has vetoed. Get ready for this. Are y'all sitting down? You should really sit down for what California was attempting to pass. Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed a supervised drug consumption bill. They were going to set up facilities in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Oakland where heroin addicts and other drug abusers could abuse their drugs under competent supervision. Yes, so like nurses and doctors presumably would watch you administer your drugs to make sure that you're not going to kill yourself. The governor has vetoed that. Now, ordinarily, I would say that Governor Gavin, I have a hardest time with that dude's name, Gavin Newsom. Ordinarily, I would think he would approve something like that for his state. I mean, he's approved lots of crazy things for California. But he's not this, and one wonders if he doesn't want that used against him in a presidential campaign. We'll keep a close eye on that for sure. Also talking about whether or not buffets have reopened since the beginning of the pandemic.
Hey, Joe. Out here in Polk County, there's a few Chinese buffets that are open for business, and Ruby Tuesday is up and running as well. So those are some local buffets for you. But if you want a really good buffet, hop on a cruise. Those are open and ready for business.
Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. I didn't know Ruby Tuesday had a buffet. I thought Ruby Tuesday was a dining restaurant. I didn't know that was a buffet-style restaurant.
You still can get a salad buffet at Jason's Deli.
Ooh, and presumably the soft-serve ice cream, do they still have that at Jason's Deli? Because, honestly, the main reason I go to Jason's Deli is for the soft-serve ice cream. They do? Good. Oh, that's the best part. You get a nice, healthy salad or a sandwich or something, and then you just go get a giant thing of soft-serve ice cream. Before I get into the Canadian VA, you're going to want to know what the Canadian VA has told a veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. This story out of Canada, honestly, it just makes me want to cry. And I know it's easy for us to sit here in the United States and make fun of Canada and make fun of the Canadian military. But they're humans just like us. They're real soldiers, just like our real soldiers. And many of their soldiers have been deployed into war zones. And a Canadian Armed Forces veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and a traumatic brain injury went to the Veterans Affairs Canada, so the VA Canada, and as a remedy to post-traumatic stress and a traumatic brain injury, he was offered the opportunity to die by medical assistance. They offered to kill him. I can't even imagine a human being, an American, with a traumatic brain injury and PTSD going into the Veterans Affairs, them looking you in the eyes and say, you know what? You should just die. Just die. That would be easier than fixing the problem. We'll hook you up and we'll just kill you. I am gobsmacked at the utter lack of compassion. The VAC, Veterans Affairs Canada, released a statement last week admitting to an incident where medical assistance in dying was discussed inappropriately with the veteran. The department pledged that appropriate administrative action will be taken after the veteran expressed outrage at the suggestion. To think that a veteran goes in and an employee says euthanasia. Totally unprompted, by the way. It wasn't like the veteran went in and said, man, I hate my life. I just want to die. I wish I would have died on the battlefield or whatever. Totally unprompted. According to the report in the Global News, that's a Canadian paper, the veteran was shocked by the suggestion. The family told the Global News that the soldier had been making positive progress in his physical and mental rehabilitation, and that he felt betrayed by an agency that is tasked with assisting veterans. To think that they offered to help him in assisting in his death is beyond the pale to me. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. You might have heard the story about two Ethiopian Airlines pilots who fell asleep while they were flying their airliner. It's a Boeing 737. It was headed to Ethiopia Monday, but it flew past the runway. Air traffic controllers attempted to contact the crew multiple times. An alarm sounded in the plane, which allegedly woke the pilots up, who then landed the plane 25 minutes later. Whoops. Ethiopian Airlines has not confirmed nor denied that the pilots fell asleep. An investigation is pending. That would be really, really troubling. There's one thing I really, really, really like in airline pilots, and that is being awake. I'm just such a big fan. I think it should be a requirement that airline pilots remain awake during a flight. If you have to get them some coffee or something like that, make them stand up and fly. There's an idea. No more pilot chairs. Pilots have to stand up for the duration of the flight. We could put a treadmill right there in the cockpit. And they just like those stand-up offices that they have. I just saw this news, breaking news out of Peru. You ever seen those people that drive in Peru and they're driving on these cliffs? You know, they're going around mountaintops of these cliffs and they're just barely getting by. Yeah, one of the buses fell off. A tourist bus fell off a cliff in Peru, killing 4 people, injuring 16 others. And that is why I never go to Peru. I don't want to die falling off of a cliff in a van. My name is Joe Kelley. The number 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326. You can HMU in the WDBO app. We'll continue straight ahead. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can hit me up in the open mic in the free WDBO app tomorrow night at this time. We're going to be getting ready for the polls to close, and we'll have a full election coverage here on Orlando's election headquarters with all of the results from the Florida primary. The polls are open 7 to 7 p. tomorrow here in the Eastern time zone. Of course, they're open until 8 o'clock in the Central time zone. Well, it's 7 o'clock in the Central time zone, but it'll be 8 o'clock. You guys understand how time zones work, right? Okay, I don't need to explain that to you. Cool. Let's go to St. Cloud. Anton is joining us here on WDBO. Hey, Anton, how are you?
Hey, Joe. Another day in paradise. Can't complain. Hey, so I just wanted to let you know you shouldn't hate on Peru just because they have one place where it has small. I was when I was in the Navy, we went into Lima, and then I went up to Machu Picchu, which was amazing.
I bet.
Great places.
I know. Did you have to drive on those tight cliffs, though?
Yeah, going up to Machu Picchu, yeah. Yeah, but you see these llamas. They're not llamas. What are they? They're
alpacas?
No, they're not alpacas. Kind of roaming around.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I've always wanted to go to Machu Picchu, but I'm waiting for them to install an escalator or an elevator. Either one is fine with me.
Oh, the walk is great. What do you mean?
It just seems long and high. That's a lot of work.
And then I know some of my shipmates got sick while they were going up because of the altitude.
Oh,
yeah, that was fun.
Oh man, all right. But when you got up there, was it visible? Could you, or was it
Yeah. Oh no. We had a clear day, which was amazing. The next day was cloudy and couldn't see anything.
I had some friends who went to Machu Picchu and they were so disenchanted when they got to the top because it was just sucked in with fog. Or clouds. It's so high up in the clouds there. Yeah. Very good, Anton. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I won't rule out Peru, but I will absolutely rule out driving those narrow canyon cliffs. That would just scare me to no end. We've got open mics about Ruby Tuesday, evidently.
Oh, Kelley. Don't try to sing the Beatles song Ruby Tuesday.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, I would agree with you on that one.
Hey, Joe Kelley.
Yes.
Ruby Tuesday is a sit-down restaurant, but
But?
they have a salad bar
Oh.
buffet, and it's incredible. It was, at least.
Oh.
They shut it down at the airport. That's where I work.
Oh. Okay, so we win some, we lose some when it comes to the Ruby Tuesdays. Some are open, some are closed. I was reading today about 3 different types of burnout. If you guys have burnout at work, do you want to hear the 3 different kinds of burnout that they claim? Do you guys want to hear this? Okay. So there's overload burnout, which is the most common type of burnout, and it can affect your health negatively. To overcome this, researchers recommend separating work from self-worth, which is always a good advice anyway, right? You should not seek validation by the job that you have. You should not seek joy and satisfaction. And, well, I mean, it should be nice to enjoy your job, but that should not be the source of your validation. In my case, the source of the validation would be Jesus, not my bosses, not my wife, not my kids, but my validation comes from Christ. The second type of burnout is the under-challenged burnout, which can happen when somebody is understimulated and bored with their work. Setting new goals is recommended for dealing with that type of burnout. And even if you have an under-challenged burnout, do you really want more work? I feel like if you're suffering from the under-challenged burnout, you still, if your boss comes in and says, yeah, I know you're not getting challenged enough, so here, ka-thunk, putting a big book on your desk, do this. And I'm like, oh man, I'd rather go back to my under-challenged burnout than have to have more, because then I'm going to be back in the overload burnout. The first of the burnouts. Now, the last of the 3 burnouts is the neglect burnout, which occurs when a person is lacking structure. Creating a to-do, or rather, creating a to... I've never even heard of this. Creating a to-don't list to delegate duties could be useful to prevent this. So the neglect burnout occurs when a person is lacking structure. Create a to-don't list. So I could give my to-don't list, I could delegate my to-don'ts to Ronald and Laurel, right? So I could give you guys the things I don't want to do.
Oh, no, I'm the first one, though, so I'm way too overloaded. You can't do that to me.
So that worked out well, right? So whether you are suffering from overload burnout, under-challenge burnout, or neglect burnout, I would argue that in this day and age, it is entirely plausible to be suffering from all 3 types of burnout simultaneously. I think there's a lot of that going around. This is Japan is trying to convince their residents to drink more alcohol, as America is struggling with drinking too much alcohol during this pandemic. Have a great night.